right. Phenomenal. We are just waiting to go live on all of our platforms right now, and then we will get rolling. I don't know why YouTube always comes out super hot. We're always on YouTube like right away. And then LinkedIn just takes a while. I don't really understand that. I don't understand why that's the case. But we're going to give LinkedIn another 30 seconds or so to go live, and then we will get rolling. For those of you who are new to these sessions, this is a once a week live hotel underwriting that I do just to share my thoughts on how I approach these types of situations. And today we have a unique opportunity that was presented to me a couple of years ago in a tier one city. I won't disclose the exact location, but it's a location that's known for many different things. There's a lot of business travel that comes in and out of the city. There's also a ridiculous amount of leisure travel that comes in and out. So in terms of demand drivers, there is no shortage of demand drivers in this particular city. So from that standpoint, it would be a great investment. Now we just got to see whether or not the numbers make sense, right? And so it's one thing for the um, for the numbers or it's one thing for the hotel to be in a great area, but oftentimes the numbers aren't in alignment. And with a lot of these properties too. So the way that I want to approach this is approach it from at what price would this property make sense at, right? And so that's how we're going to approach today's session, because instead of like, oh, is it overpriced, underpriced? No, let's see at what price would this property make sense. So that's how we're going to underwrite this hotel today. Pay no attention to the April 30th. It should say May 2nd. I don't know why I did this. This is my model that I've built, and so let's dive into it. So the this IHG. Okay, gosh, stop. Okay, sorry guys, technical difficulties. Now, all right, purchase the brand application fees. We're going to just put a purchase price here of 20 million just to start. Okay, oops, not 2 million, 20 million. The IHG fees are, I don't know what's going on with that's so weird. Stop. Thank you. Our brand application fees are going to be around 150. Okay. And the broker fees on this one, we're going to be about 400, sorry. 400,000. Due diligence costs will do another 100K here, and then closing costs another 100K, not a million. Okay. So to establish average daily rate, here we have the last star report that was provided to us. Average daily rate on this property is at 125. So one thing that jumps out to me right away is that we are at 88% of the comp set right now. So our ADR penetration is really low, and our RevPAR penetration is low too. We're at 95. Now, at a Holiday Inn Express, that is a good hotel, and I won't. One of the things here that I won't be disclosing is what the comp set is, because then if I give you the comp set, you'll be able to figure out the hotel. But there are a couple Hilton and Marriott properties in here. That being said, Holiday Inn Expresses can outperform the comp set from time to time. So I still think that there might be some room to grow here. So this is a good thing. From a value add perspective, it's like, hey, is there value that can be created in this hotel? And 88% of the comp set, maybe we're not at 88, maybe we can get to 95, 97, right? So, and since we're outperforming the comp set already with occupancy, maybe we can push RevPAR up above 100 penetration. So, because right now we're at 95. Okay. So ADR, we're at 125, and our occupancy, we are at 64. Okay. And key count, I believe, is 122. Let me double check that though. It's really easy to check. Just come here. Yeah, we're at 122. All right. Cap rate. So a cap rate for this hotel in this city, I honestly think that we could probably get a 6 or a 7 cap on this one. I'm gonna go 8 just to be super conservative, but I honestly think that like this one could probably trade it at 6 or a 7, fully stabilized. There's no F&B revenue on the Express, so we're good there. Other revenue, if we dig into the financials, um, again, I want to remind people, in case you're confused, Danny, why are you underwriting a hotel with a 2022 P&L? This was a hotel that was shopped to me in 2023. So again, I'm not doing anything that's super recent. What we're looking at is strategy here, how to analyze these deals. We're not looking at, and that is irrespective of time. Okay, so we're not looking at fresh deals because again, NDAs, everything, all that good stuff. Like none of the stuff that I'm currently looking at am I blasting out online here. That would be a violation of the NDAs that I signed. So these properties here, okay. So, or sorry, this P&L here, we're looking at other revenue. So here we have our rooms revenue, which is fine, but now we've got our income here, which is like uh, gift shop revenue. $1,000, right? So we've got 14,000 here, and then room revenue offset. Yeah, interesting. Hmm. I've never seen that before. That is so weird. This is live. I'm not joshing you when I say this is live. This is what I'm looking at right here. This room's revenue offset used for comparison. I'm wondering, okay, so this is where potentially the free breakfast is thrown in. This could be the only explanation. But here we've got our expenses for the breakfast. Let me roll down here. Now, guys, this is live. I'm telling you. This can't be. This cannot be the P&L for this property. Hmm. There's no way. I'm not buying it. Let me do some research here on my other screen. This is the problem. Is like I got to be a little coy with this. Hmm. Nope, this is it. This is the P&L. This is the right P&L. This is definitely the right P&L. Okay. Well, let me walk you through what I would do in this situation. Okay, because I'm going to make a couple of assumptions here, but you know what they say about assuming makes an ass out of you and me. So the first thing I would do is I would call because this is listed by a broker. So I'd call the broker and I'd ask them to explain what this room revenue offset. I have some theories. The the one that I'm going to go with for the purposes of this exercise is this is a free breakfast expense that is put into it also says used for comparison, and so that's the part that I don't really understand. So I'm just trying to understand this here. Yeah, I'm gonna go with free breakfast, guys. That's kind of what I'm guessing here is what this is. Because a lot of times free breakfast is looped into the room's expense line item. To see it listed though as a negative miscellaneous income, That's a new one for me. So I'm not really sure um, who decided that was kosher, but someone did, right? Someone thinks it's smart. So we're gonna go with that. We're gonna go with free breakfast. And guys, like this is one thing that you have to look out for because $400,000 is insane for free breakfast. I mean, we're talking, over $1,000 a day, which you think, okay, well, that doesn't sound too bad, but I mean, how many people are we feeding here on average? 60, right? 60 people on average are staying at the hotel. Well, maybe okay, like 60 to 80 guests, maybe 100 guests a night. We just call it on average, right? If you double up the rooms, some of them you double up. And then you got a couple singles and you maybe got a couple quads. And so, yeah, maybe 80 to 100 total guests per night. Um, how many of them actually eat the breakfast? Half. We were talking maybe 650 to 60 people for breakfast, $1,000. That's $20 per person. Um, we're not serving omelets and bacon here. Well, maybe you're serving bacon, but we're not serving lox and poached eggs here, right? So this is we're not talking revenue, we're talking expenses. So that's pretty high. And I'd be very curious because we also have here the breakfast hosts, right? So we've already got labor accounted for in a different line item. So, and labor is really only like 40 G's, right? So like, we're talking 10x that on food, which is too much, right? So again, opportunity for improvement, and that's the way that we look at these things is like, okay, where could we improve potentially? This is obviously one area where we could improve, but it's concerning, right? Nevertheless, and again, this is an assumption that I'm making, but I would double check this assumption by calling whoever's listed uh, the hotel and get them to confirm my reasoning. Okay, so let's come into F&B revenue. There's no, but other revenue. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna back out those expenses because that should not be in here like that. That just makes everything super confusing. We got 14, 19, 20, 22. We'll round up to 25,000 in other revenue. Okay, and this is a limited service hotel. We're gonna go 40% down. Oops, excuse me, 40% interest rate. Yeah, the bank would love that. Yeah, we're gonna go 40% down at a 7.5% interest rate. The reason I'm doing that is because we actually don't have a massive PIP on this guy. We only have $600,000 PIP, which is like 5K a key, basically, right? Really small PIP. Almost nothing needs to be done. Which on one side of the coin, awesome. On the other side is, well, there's not a tremendous amount of value that's going to be added. Also, we're going to be handing off probably a pretty massive PIP to the next buyer, right? When we sell this thing. So 7-year hold, IHG is probably going to come knocking, you know, in the next couple of years. We got to upgrade Formula Blue, right? I don't know which upgrade package they've got in this thing right now, but probably Formula Blue. I don't know. I'd have to check, right? But nevertheless, they're going to come knocking and they're going to say, hey, we need to change this, this, and this. And that PIP is going to be pretty hefty. Like we're probably talking like a $4 to $6 million PIP when we sell it. So that is something to keep in mind. Lender fees, origination is going to be around, let's just call it like 150, although we could probably negotiate a lot less than that, but we'll go 25 years amortized, no cash burn. Well, we'll see because right now, okay, these guys, um, they are, uh, their EBITDA is 461. So they've got cash, right? They're cash flow positive. Now, are they doing as well as they should be? Where's their I'm looking for the sorry, I'm like internally thinking. What I'm looking for is to figure out if it's 20 after replacement reserve or before replacement reserve. So I'm looking for no. I don't think they took out the replacement reserve. Because we've got our hmm. Mm-mm. They did not strip out they did not strip out replacement reserve. So they're really at around a 16, 15 to 16% NOI, which is about half of what we'd like to see. Obviously, given that this is in a tier one city, we're going to expect labor to be more expensive, which would impact bottom line. But 16 is too low. We should be closer to like maybe 25 in that case, right? But that doesn't that doesn't that doesn't mean we should literally have our our NOI just because we're in a tier one city. That makes no sense. Um, so I don't think we don't need to talk about cash burn right there. Okay, so now let's go to our P&L to figure out what our expenses look like. Our rooms expense, rooms expense. Do it 555. Okay. It looks like we are at about 23% on the rims expense, which actually is right on the dot where I would expect it to be. So now I'm curious because labor is actually that's where all the labor is going to show up, or the majority of labor is going to show up, rather. So the fact that we're under our projections is confusing. That tells me that there's probably um, oh, up. I am I messed up. I messed up. Okay. Sometimes these P&Ls can be really hard to read, guys. Because I thought we were at other, um, I thought we were at other, the other like miscellaneous expenses, not other room expenses. So that is way above where we'd expect it to be. We're at 35% so we are going to come in here too. So that exactly as I hypothesized, right? Our labor, that's where, look, guys, that's literally where 11, that's where all of the margin is going to. Because at 16, which we'd be at right now, 16% EBITDA, we add 11 back to that, we're at 27%. That's damn good. I mean, like I said, even if we could get to 25, we'd be in a much better spot. So there it is. Miscellaneous income, we are at 71% expense ratio, right? And I'm assuming there's no, yeah, that's just the gift shop. Okay. Okay. So total A and G, we are at 8%. We'd like to see it around 7, but eight's good for this, an extra percentage point for this market is fine. Because let's look at all the guys, we look at all the different things here, right? There are so many things in A and G um, that can be impacted by the market, right? And so a more expensive market is going to command just a slightly higher expense column, right? So we're fine there. Now, IT, we're at 3, okay? So IT, we're at 3%, we're good there. Sales and marketing, okay? So sales and marketing, we're at, we'll call it 10.4. And one thing that I'd like to point out here, IHG is definitely less expensive than Marriott and Hilton. And so their franchise fees are less. So on some of the other, you'll see the franchise fee here, okay, is, we'll call it 6%, okay? So the franchise fee is 6%, and the marketing would be the remainder of that. So we're at 10.3. So it's really like 10.4, so it's really 4.4, right? Okay. Property operation and maintenance, we're at 2. So let's see. Really low on the maintenance here. We'll call it 2.5. Or we'll just bring it down to 3. Um, let's say 2.5. Our utilities are at 4.5. So now we've got all these other. Oh, so this is all one thing here. So we've got roughly, if I'm reading this correctly, we've got about, we're at about 7. I misread that. We're doing it live, guys. We are doing it live. Uh, taxes. We're at about 2.5 on taxes. Nice, Arizona. Oops. And then insurance costs, 1.2. All right. So we're going to assume a 2% inflation. Occupancy is going to grow nominally because we're already above market. Okay. No construction management. All right. So now we're going to go here, interest reserve. We're fine. Okay. We're gonna need about 8.5, 9 million to close on this deal. All right. So where are we gonna see some growth here? Well, first things first, what we want to do is I want to look at where the market is. We're at 141. So by year three, I would like to see the ADR like at 135. Obviously, this is going to keep growing. But by year three, we're a little off that, right? So while we let's uh, let's bring this up to 3. Keep that at 2. Okay. So we're at 128. Okay. I mean, this is fine. And then we'll level it out to 2 after that. I just want to see some growth. Um, and of course, like we would need to really look at what guy, this is the rough and dirty underwriting, right? So then we'd want to look at, okay, well, where are we getting the majority of our bookings from right now? Um, what are the strategies that we're going to deploy to increase ADR? But just again, right? Like that's super in the weeds, the rough and dirty 60-minute version, hopefully less than 60 minutes, goodness. Um, this one might be a while though. Yeah, we're already 30 minutes in. Good for me. Um, the the yeah, the market on this one in particular, like because we're not going super granular, I'm just giving you guys like the spark notes, like this is what I think we could do without really digging into it. But again, like more thorough underwriting would require us to kind of peel back all of those layers, right? Um, on the ADR, or sorry, on the occupancy, we're already at a 64, right? So getting to even 66, that's really aggressive. Like I think I'm just gonna keep this honestly at like I'm just gonna keep this at 64. Yeah, I think we got to do that. We can't drive ADR and also make leaps and bounds, grow leaps and bounds on occupancy. So all right, a couple things. If we're going to restructure management, and we would need to look at what they're doing right now and figure out where is their meat on the bone? Where are the inefficiencies? Do we have too much staff? Why are we at a 35% rooms expense? I think conservatively, right? Um, 24 being kind of the gold standard here. I would say within 3 years, if we could get this down to a 27%, it'd be pretty darn good, right? So we would want to decrease expenses. Let's go -2. All right, and we're just going to keep this 2. Oops. I'm just going to hide 33. By year 3, we're at 27. So we have to decrease even more than that. Yeah, I think any more than that is really aggressive. But then by year 4, we've got to be at like 1, 2, 3, 4. We're at like -1 and then 0. You know, so we're not like overcorrecting. Yeah, that's good. Guys, rough and dirty. Okay, this is not like like on a real model. We're spending days, weeks on this. So miscellaneous income, we're good there. So the other thing to keep in mind is somewhere. All right. I forgot this. I was like, why do the margins look so good? Somewhere we've got to account for the free breakfast. To make this easy, conceptually, I'm going to throw in an F&B component to this, okay? And what we're going to do, just to make it easy, right, is on the inputs, we're going to say there was $1,000 in food revenue, okay? Yeah, and then it's going to be uh, for food and beverage, -4,000%. That doesn't work. It's probably, yeah. Sorry, I'm gonna have to hard code this in actually. Never fear. There's always a workaround. Oops. What did I do? Okay, so to hard code this in, I'm going to go down here to expenses, and I'm going to give, what are we at here? 400K, goodness sakes, what are we doing? 400, and then I'm just going to go 375, 350. We're going down, baby. We're going down. We got to get this down. Can we get it to 300? Again, I'm making this um, really quick. All right, so let's look here. Our departmental profit was 2.3. Yeah, yeah. Okay. What's GOP? What's GOP? Um, where's the GOP? GOP is 622. Holy cow. Yeah, I mean we're right there actually. Okay. Wow, this is bad. Hmm. I just found an error on my. That's so weird. Okay, so we've got insurance, we've got our property tax, we've got replacement reserve or EBITDA minus replacement reserve, and then we've got our debt service. Right. Now, of course, we'll figure that out in a second, but okay. So we're at 20, 22, 23, or 24. We're at 25 margin, 24.8, 25 margin at exit. I mean, there are places like where it could be cut because here's the truth, right? Like that free breakfast is cutting 300 from our bottom line. Like if we added that, if we could add that back in, but we can't, right? Because we don't live in fantasy land. We live in the real world, and in the real world, we feed people breakfast. Why? I don't know. I don't know. I don't eat the breakfast at the hotels. I don't. I know I'm a weirdo, right? There are some people that like love the free breakfast. I am not a fan. Um, I'd rather go to Starbucks, but to each their own. Okay, so conservatively, conservatively, this is the model. Actually, not even conservatively. Like this is the pro forma that we use, that we would use, because there are some aggressive assumptions here. I mean, like I wouldn't say aggressive, but like there are some bold assumptions here. The boldest being that we can cut 8% in rooms expenses over a 4 to 5 year period. Um, I mean, that's pretty bold, right? That's pretty bold. Going from a 10% margin to a 25% margin in less than 7 years, it's also pretty bold. It's also pretty bold. So, this has to be it. Um, Now, if I were the operator, I might there might be some other like if I were approaching this as an operator, there'd probably be some other things that I'd look at to try and figure out how we could make squeeze more juice out of it. If I'm approaching this from a fund of funds model though, and we're investing into this hotel, I wouldn't use anything more aggressive than that. Truthfully, I think that's it. And I would want to know what the business plan is, right? I would want to know, okay, how are we going to cut 8% in rooms expense over 5 years? How are we going to increase NOI? You know, by how are we going to double our NOI in 5 years? Those are all things that we need to know. So far, I'm not 100% sold because the truth is like uh, there's not a lot of meat on this bone. There's not a lot of margin right now that's being produced by the hotel. So we got to figure out, okay, well, where's that extra juice going to come from? Um, if they were, so we try and negotiate like a 10 pref on this guy, and then maybe like two hurdles, a 16 and a 20 seem fair. But for this kind of asset, I would probably only do like a 10 over 10, and then maybe a 15 over 16, and then like a 20 over 20. I think that's all I'd be willing to give on this guy. And then now we got to figure out, okay, well, what's the purchase price, right? So I like doing this. At what price? Okay, what if goal seek? At what price? Oh, sorry. We have to change sell this. We want to change this value to 22% by changing the cell here. Oops, never changing this. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So this hotel would have to sell for 7 million, which obviously isn't going to happen. I mean, I know this was um, in the 15 million plus range. I think we were at 15, 17-ish million for this property. So again, now there are some things adjustments. So on the cap, let's go 7. Let's split it in the middle, right? And then what if, right? Then we're going, um, then we're going to like what? Maybe like 8 million, even 8. I mean, look, like 8. But here's the thing: we need to make sure that there's a protection of principal, right? And this is our projected IRR, but like that means that like we could very easily end up in the low teens, or like low double digits, like 12, 13, right? When all is said and done. Because these are guys, this is spreadsheet, right? We're not living in real life, and this is something that I think a lot of sponsors, when they're marketing and everything, like these numbers don't mean jack squat. At the end of the day, what matters is what those hotels actually produce on a year in and year out basis, and that is um, not as predictable as this spreadsheet would lead you to believe. There's all sorts of things that happen between now and the time that you exit, right? 7 years is a long time. Lots of things happen, things change. And when they change quickly. So don't forget that, you know. This would be a no buy for me. Like I wouldn't even touch this thing for a lot of reasons. The biggest one being I uh, I think that the cash burn up front would be pretty high. The debt service on this thing is going to be pretty significant. And even if you were to come in with more equity, it's like, okay, well, now if this hotel were in a portfolio and the portfolio was being sold, I wouldn't mind it being in the portfolio for a couple of reasons. Holiday Inn Expresses are generally safe assets, they perform. Um, and there's enough upside on this one to where, like, okay, now the portfolio acquisition, like the portfolio itself, would need to be profitable, right? Because right now I'm not seeing a ton of profit being generated from this hotel um, when we factor in debt service, right? And my gosh, the P&L didn't even have a replacement reserve line item, which is, I always love it when they don't do that, when they leave that out, right? It's like, oh yeah, we're running a 20% margin. No, you're not. You're running 16% margin. Um, might even be 15%. Some lenders require some franchise agreements require 5% now. But I this one's probably 4. So, anyways, that is all I've got. If you've got questions about this particular hotel, this particular scenario, feel free to leave it in the comments down below. And again, if you are looking to have a property that you are analyzing, underwritten, I'm happy to do it live. Branded assets only, please, no boutiques. I'm happy to do a boutique with you one-on-one, but I'm not going to do it live on here. Too many weird things can pop up with that. So if you're looking to have your hotel analyzed, feel free to send it to me and I will add it to the queue. This is Danny Gould, everyone with Gould Capital. I will catch all of you in the next live hotel underwriting session.